Hello, Dick. We're so happy to have you on. And I heard you brought your amazing stamp collection along with all the fascinating history surrounding them. So why don't we dive right in?
All right, let's have a look what we got. So hello everyone, welcome to another Stamp Talk. This is number 16, believe it or not. But some of you might be able to cast your minds back to Stamp Talk number 6, which was actually almost exactly 3 years ago. And I covered some very early Olympic-themed stamps. So this year, the games of the 33rd Olympiad are being held in Paris, of course, and we'll look forward to having our 2028 games here in Los Angeles. Looking forward to that. But this is the third Olympiad to be held in Paris, the first being in 1900. So, of course, as Sophie mentioned last week, we had Baron Pierre de Coubertin, who actually founded the modern Olympic Games. And so for the first Olympiad, 1896, of course, we held those in Athens as homage to the ancient Olympic Games. And then they had the second Olympiad, of course, was in Paris. So after events in St. Louis, London, Stockholm, and Antwerp, the Games returned to Paris in 1924 with the 8th Olympiad. And there are stamps.
What?
Yes. So this is actually a scan from my own collection. These are beautiful Art Deco stamps issued by France on April the 1st, 1924 to commemorate those second Paris Olympics. They were designed by Edmond-Henri Becker, a well-known French sculptor, woodcarver, medalist and jeweler. And actually, if you Google him, jewellery is his thing, beautiful jewellery. He actually died at the age of 100 in 1971. Though these stamps are actually, he did the designs and they were engraved by Georges Dossy, who actually died in 1951. So I want to draw your attention here to the one on the left, which is the 30 centime stamp in red and black, featuring a chap called Milo of Croton. He was a famous Greek athlete from the colony of Croton, and a 6-time wrestling champion in the ancient Olympiads back in the late 6th century BC. Becker's artwork here shows Milo doing his strongman thing. He was well known for this, apparently. Splitting a tree stump with his bare hands. You can see him there. Legend has it that he was helping a villager trying to split the stump with a hammer and some wedges. The villager said, "Great, I'll go and get some food. I'll come back while you're working." And Milo's there trying to split the tree stump, but the wedges fell out and his hand got stuck. I know. And while he was waiting for the villager to return, he met his demise from wolves.
Wow.
And so that's what happens when you show off, I think. You know
Tragic,
what I mean?
Yeah.
So anyway, just a reminder there's a URL on the bottom. If you're interested in any of my finished collections, and there's hundreds of Olympics and sports themed stamps in there, you can go to my personal website at dickstamps.online, and please enjoy. Okay, so I'm going to channel Greg Treverton, who is our geopolitical intelligence expert. He writes such excellent opinion pieces for us. You'll see them on the website. And we've heard from Greg before. And you've heard me say in previous stamp talks that I think postage stamps are little pieces of art or little pieces of history. And they can tell us a lot about what was happening when they were issued. So we're going to learn a little bit about world history here. So after the end of the First World War, you'll remember that the League of Nations was founded. And of course this in 1946, after World War II, is what we now know as the United Nations. So back in 1920, the League of Nations mandated the formal splitting up of the old Ottoman Empire, which was on the losing side in World War I. Now most of that is what we know as Turkey. But two of its territories in the Ottoman Empire, which was Lebanon and Syria, were to be temporarily governed by France on behalf of the League of Nations. The United Kingdom actually governed Palestine and Iraq, and that worked out well. But anyway, moving back to this, we'll see here there's some French 1924 Olympic stamps, and they've been overprinted in both French and Arabic for use in the state of Greater Lebanon, which you can see the ones on the left, and Grand Liban in French, and in Syria, on the two on the right. So Lebanon actually became an independent republic after World War II, 1946. But Syria had negotiated a treaty of independence from France in 1936, but nobody in the French government would ratify it. I think it was much easier just to not bother. And so Syria didn't actually achieve their independence until after 1946. Now, you might be able to see, probably not, I don't know, it depends on the size of your screen, but at the bottom of each stamp, and I've enlarged it here, you can see the names of the designer and the engraver in small text at the bottom of the stamp. They don't do this so much now, but sometimes you will get the name of a designer on the stamp or the printer. But in this case, you can see there's Becker on the left, E. Becker, and next to that you can see DEL, which is short for the Latin delineavit, meaning literally he drew it. And then on the right hand side, next to the G. Dossi, you can see SC, which is short for the Latin sculpsit, meaning he carved it.
Wow.
So now you know. Now you know who designed it and who engraved it. Let's jump forward a century. Here we are. This is this year's stamps. You'll see the one on the right is from France. That's a single 1.96 euro stamp. That's about $2.14. And it features the Eiffel Tower and the Paris 2024 Olympic Games and the Paralympic Games emblems. The Olympic Games is obviously the flame there at the top right with the 5 Olympic rings, and then underneath is the Paralympic symbol or emblem. And then the other stamp on here is from French Polynesia, which is part of France, and it is where they're hosting the Olympic surfing events at Teahupo'o on the island of Tahiti. They issued a single 170 francs stamp because they use the old French currency. That's about $1.76. I think these are beautiful. I love the pastel colours on these stamps. These are really nice. And then in the left-hand side, you'll see the Games mascot. And these are all over the French La Poste website where I got the images. And of course, these are the fridges, these little guys. And this is the Paralympic fridge shown here. You'll see he's got his little, what do you call that? You know,
his
the
prosthetic leg.
Prosthetic, thank you. I couldn't think of the word. Prosthetic, that's the thing. And so these were created by Gilles Delaris. They're based on one of the traditional symbols of France, which is the Phrygian cap, also known as the Liberty cap, which is a soft conical hat with the top pulled forward. These originated in ancient Phrygia, which is in Turkey, back to Turkey again, and were worn by various people in the Eastern Europe and Asia. And if you've seen Les Mis, during the French Revolution, it was a very popular piece of headgear, 1789 to 1799. So the Phrygian cap became a very powerful symbol of liberty and freedom. In France, the revolutionaries adopted it as the red cap of liberty, and it was often depicted on Marianne, who is actually the allegorical figure of French liberty. And one day maybe we'll cover Marianne on all the French stamps, because she's on hundreds of them. Anyway, so let's take a look at some issues from other countries for the 2024 Olympics. This is a souvenir sheet from Belgium containing 5 One World stamps. Those are the equivalent of the US Global Forever stamps. Each of these is valued at 2.88 euros, which is about $3.14. This souvenir sheet was designed by Belgian Geert Wille. Features the Olympic dream in French and Dutch, which are the 2 official languages of Belgium, and athletes celebrating a victory, and of course the Belgian Olympic team logo. Interestingly, after training as a graphic artist, Wille couldn't find a trade job when he returned home to Belgium. He just couldn't, he had this degree in graphic arts and couldn't find a good job. So he said, I'll find a job that pays well, and he actually became a postman, worked his way up the postal service, and then saw one day a job come up as a stamp designer, and he applied for it and got the job. And in fact, his first stamp designs were only issued last year. Wow. So yeah, so it can be done, right? Here is a souvenir sheet from Monaco, featuring 4 1.29 euro stamps. That's $1.41. And at the top we've got boxing and judo. At the left we have table tennis, running and lawn tennis. At the right we have dinghy sailing and kiteboarding, and at the bottom single sculls rowing and swimming. The souvenir sheet was designed by a French designer born in Nice called David Marasquin. Features 4 very instantly recognizable Parisian landmarks. So we have the Cathedral of Notre Dame in Paris, the Sacré-Cœur Basilica in Montmartre, the Eiffel Tower, and of course the Arc de Triomphe, and the background suggesting the tricolour of the French national flag. That's quite a nice sheet, isn't it?
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Gorgeous.
So let's moving over to the Balkans. Here we have from Republika Srpska, which is actually part of the former Yugoslavia until 1992, of course, in the Balkan War. It's a predominantly ethnic Serbian autonomous entity within the state of Bosnia and Herzegovina. And this souvenir sheet comprises 2 3.3 convertible mark stamps, that's about $1.84, featuring hurdles and swimming, and 2 1.95 convertible mark stamps, $1.09, featuring discus and gymnastics. Interesting note, the convertible mark, which is a weird name for your currency, is actually named after the pre-Euro German Deutschmark and was established by the 1995 Dayton Agreement, which put an end to the Bosnian War that had been raging for, 3.5 years, something like that. That established the state of Bosnia and Herzegovina with its 2 constituent autonomous parts, Republika Srpska, mainly Serbian, and the Federation of Bosnia and Herzegovina. And that currency is pegged to the euro. This sheet, as you can see, it's fully perforated, designed by local designer Nebojša Dumic, and features the Eiffel Tower within a stadium. And I looked at that and I thought, I'm sure if you went on AI and said, give me a picture of the Eiffel Tower in a stadium, it might actually do that. But whatever, however he did it, it's a lovely piece of art. Okay. So, next slide. Here we go. So several other countries have issued stamps commemorating the 2024 Olympics. Obviously, we can't cover them all here. We've got Australia, we've got Cyprus, both the Greek and Turkish halves. We've got Estonia, we've got Germany, Greece, Israel, Luxembourg, Macedonia, the Netherlands, New Zealand, Poland, Slovakia, Slovenia, and Switzerland. But this one is what I'm going to finish with. This is from the Ukraine. The design features 6 triangular stamps in a hexagon, featuring weightlifting, fencing, rowing, tennis, shooting, and judo. And I love that because you don't see triangular stamps much these days. Yeah. They are a thing, but not many countries issue them. There are 4 stamps on here which have an F on them, which is stamps with an F are for use outside of Ukraine, when you're sending something outside of Ukraine. And the F stamp currently has a value of 30 hryvnia, easy for me to say, which is about 73 cents. Nice. Okay, and then the 2 U stamps have a current value of 15 hryvnia, which is about 37 stamps, and they're used when you're sending postage inside Ukraine.
Oh.
And so if you go on the Ukrainian Post website, Ukropochta, they actually have all of these letters and what they all mean.
Oh my gosh, that's cool.
So it's a bit like our forever stamps, right?
Gotcha.
You don't have to put a value on anymore. You just say, yeah. So that way you can
Exactly.
easily change it. You don't have to reissue all the stamps. Okay.
Amazing.
Interestingly, the reason I finish on Ukraine, and sadly, a survey by the British government concluded nearly 500 Ukrainian athletes and coaches had been killed by Russian forces since the 2022 invasion. But anyway, not to leave on a sad note, but it's a sad note. But I hope you enjoyed today's Stamp Talk and learned a few things along the way.